Hi, this is number two of teaching American history through art, where we look at the great masterworks of art and do art projects and understand a little bit better about American history. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start continuing. This is lesson two. And so you're going to need paint with this one. Every single one of these lessons has uh, techniques in like painting or calligraphy or drawing or charcoal or perspective. So throughout this, we'll be learning facts about American history, but we're also going to be learning about the art and the techniques as well. Now, our last lesson, we learned about picturing faces and a little bit about the classic proportions of the face and some very, very famous early American portraits. Now, the exciting thing about the next thing we're going to study is the Native Americans. And George Catlin was he went west 5 times during the 1830s. And that was way, way long ago, like about the time when Lewis and Clark, remember how the Louisiana Purchase. So he got to be out there in pristine America. And the story is that he saw some Native Americans walking by in Washington, D.C., and he just loved them and he wanted to depict their life. So he left everything that he had to travel west, and he had a horse named Charlie, and he would go from Indian tribe to Indian tribe. Now, the thing about the American Indians, it's so very interesting, is many people that were going out west in the wagons, artists, there were no cameras. Today, we would probably be taking pictures, etc. But at that time, artists would follow the troops in a war, and artists would depict history. You could read a verbal description, or you could look at a painting or a work of art. And many times, the works of art that they would see would be of the Native Americans and treating the settlers in very scary ways. And so people going west were very frightened of the Native Americans. This is a picture called The Abduction of Daniel Boone's Daughter. Now, it would have been really smarter to have pictures, I think, of cholera, and the actually disease killed more of the settlers than the Native American Indians did. And I'm so proud of the part Native American that I am, and it's so exciting to study the Indians and to read Catlin's journal. And you can do that. And I have different links you can follow. You can stop any of the videos at any time. And in Catlin's journal, he described Chief White Cloud, and he said, and I'll just surmise this, that he went into this certain camp, and this he started doing pictures, which what he always did of the Indians, and Chief White Cloud got very angry and really was wanting to have him killed. And he said to him, "Mighty Chief, I'm practicing with these other." People just for you, for your picture. And he ended up doing a picture of Chief White Cloud, and Chief White Cloud really did love the picture. And you can read this. He published Manners, Customs, and Conditions of the North American Indians in 2 volumes with approximately 300 engravings. And he says, "If my life be spared, nothing shall stop me from visiting every nation of Indians on the continent of North America." He loved and admired the Native Americans. And he would also, like this is one of his descriptions, a Crow Indian is known wherever he is by his beautiful white dress and his tall and elegant figure, the greater part of the men being 6 feet high. For further study, I have also, when you take this course, I have an actual book teaching American history through art, and also a Native American book of Catlin's artwork, which you will receive. So there's a lot more art projects that you can actually do. And for your first assignment, what I would like you to do is I would like you to do just like we did a portrait of a very famous early American. This is using a grid uh, to to, I think this was Geronimo, and you could draw Geronimo, or you could do any one of these beautiful pictures by Catlin. And he pictured these Indians, they would pose for him, and he would record visually, and he would use his journal to describe what the Native Americans were like. So I'd like you to pick out a picture of a Native American, and I would like you to do a picture for your first assignment and maybe write a little bit about it, do a little bit of research about it. Uh, also, we're going to talk about the buffalo. And I want to say a little bit more about Catlin. There's a surviving set of Catlin's first Indian gallery, painted in the 1830s, and is now part of the Smithsonian. And the buffalo is actually the animal of America, is the buffalo. So it's really an important animal. And so our next assignment, we're going to talk about a buffalo. And if you click on this link, you can see a really funny story about a man having a pet buffalo. And I'll make it, you can look at this and watch it. It's really funny.
This is Neil.
There he
This
is with the
my
buffalo
second buffalo that
in
I
his
trained.
car. But I'll let you watch that. We're not going to take the time to watch it right now, but you can stop what we're looking at any time, and you can go ahead and have the opportunity to watch any of these links that I have, and that's sort of fun. So we're going to go ahead and continue on, and let me get this real quickly. Okay. Uh, And you've got your two choices that we're going to talk about. We're going to do a paint demo. I'm going to show you some really, really fun stuff on painting. And again, there's buffalo pictures. I want you to do a beautiful early American landscape and put a buffalo on it. We're going to talk about two famous artists, Bierstadt, and here's Bierstadt's painting about the last buffalo. And I want you to look at the background. We're going to learn how to do a background. The sky is darker at the top, lighter at the horizon line. The buffaloes in the foreground are darker. And where does the light coming from in the picture? The second picture is Thomas Moran, and this is called Buffalo Watering. And he did both of these artists did pictures of early America, probably about the time Lewis and Clark, the same beautiful, pristine America when Lewis and Clark were there. Now, this picture on the left is by the great early American landscape artist Thomas Moran, and it's done in warm colors. Now, we're going to watch a demo, and I hope you have your red, orange, yellow, and white, and I'm going to show you how to do a really cool background just like this. So let's get started. And again, you can stop this at any time. Let's watch. I wanted to show you this. There's a portion on butterflies, and I have my beautiful background, and we talk about creating a good background. That's sort of what we're learning to do today. I wanted to also show you, although I'm using a wet wipe for my initial blending, this is a wonderful art sponge. You can use one of these. You can use different sponges. I really love the idea of being able to have a wet wipe, as I said. Now, I didn't show you this one picture, but we're learning about this was all done. This is just your background. This is just creating a background, a sky, and different values, darker to lighter. And now we're going to be doing the red and the yellow, and you can actually combine everything together if you choose to do that. You can do that, but we're going to stick with warm colors right now, and we're going to do it in a very, very similar way as we did the last one. And what I want us to do on this one is to do a silhouette. Now, the last picture, you could actually take once you get your background, and you could use your brush, and you could do trees. You could make beautiful, beautiful trees and make it the foreground. You could put a boat in the water. There's just so many wonderful ways that you could make it more interesting. But what I want to do progressively is something called an ombre. And an ombre, you go from one color to the next color in a very lovely way, darker to lighter. The lightest part of your picture is always going to be your horizon line, the warmth of the earth. Even at nighttime, you can actually see the warmth of the earth. And what we want to do with this particular picture, what we're going to try to do with it is we're going to try to create a silhouette on it. I want you to put a silhouette of some kind on it. And when we had our live class, I talk about different silhouettes. You can print in, you can type in Google and Google painting of a sunset with a silhouette. And you can get amazing and beautiful, beautiful things with that. So, I suggest you might want to try to do that. Now, what I'm doing right now, I'm going to lighten this up a little bit with white. And I'm just going to go back and forth because I want to create depth. And I want to make sure that it's lighter at the horizon line. Now, as you're growing as an artist, you might want to do very, very different than mine, and that's just fine. Again, I'm going to take my black and I'm going to put a beautiful sun in the picture and I'm going to create some black mountains and it's just going to be absolutely beautiful. I can wait until this dries and then I can add uh, my black silhouette, which I really suggest that you do. And as you're doing your water, and I suggest you might want to do this with a brush. I'm doing it with this, but you can do it with a brush. As you get more, get more done, you want to start maybe using your brush. And I want to make sure I have a very, very clear horizon line. And I might want to put a little bit of white in the water. I think that might look sort of cool. Again, it's your picture, your art. You're going to own it. I love it. One of my students did the coolest picture like this, and there was a big mountain and a mountain climber, and it was just beautiful and inspirational. And it was all done in silhouettes. I just loved how that was done. So I want you to really look very, very carefully. And we're going to look at the black as well. And when you do a cloud, you want to do it lighter on the top and then darker. If I want to do a little cloud. Now, in order to do a really cool, if I want to come and do a very, very, very interesting silhouette, and again, this is something you can do, guys, and you can actually let it dry. Before you don't have to do the black right away. You can wait and do the black later. But because this is a demo, you can actually even use black markers. But if I want to make my horizon line, I'm going to use a texture brush just to give it some texture. Now, I don't have to I can do a person holding something, or, I can make a uh, beautiful, just different silhouettes. We look at different silhouettes and we can figure out how to do it. This part can be black as well. And then I can come back with my marker and I can make details, because remember, the difference is in the details. As you can see in the pictures that I've been showing you, that are very wonderful samples, and you can also look in the samples of this as well. And I normally I would make a big palm tree, but as you can see, this is what is done here. You have the black that I've been showing you. And then you come back with a detail brush and you put your details. And this is combining, you could put pinks in your sky, whatever you want, but you want to have your background first, and then you want to do your silhouette. This might be a really magnificent finished work of art for you. You could put a Bible verse on here. You could put anything you want when we talk about graphic art. But again, technique comes first. We're going to go ahead now, and I want you to think perhaps about the silhouette of a actual buffalo. You could put a buffalo on there, but what I want you to do now is I want you to continue working. Hopefully, you're working the whole time that I'm talking. Hopefully,
Beautiful
you're still
butterfly
working,
on the background,
and
and I'm still
we're
working
going
on it,
to
but creating background is
see go
very, very
on.
important.
You all just keep working, and and we're going to go on. Now, I want you to look at this picture, Thomas Moran. Now, you can do your silhouette of your buffalo. You might want to do your silhouette of your buffalo in a brown and not a total black. You could certainly do that if you want to. Here's an example of another demo. And look how the warm colors that Thomas Moran used in his picture. You can almost see that beautiful, beautiful sun. And when you look at the water, you look at things fading in the background, it just gives you a really good idea of what early America looked like. Now we're going to go on and talk about Albert Bierstadt. And Albert Bierstadt is another very famous artist who pictured America. His prints are so popular, you can even find some in galleries today. People want prints, now his paintings are very, very large and of course are in museums. He used a lot of cool colors, and as you can see, he pictured the Native Americans there, the horses and the teepees, and I want you to look at the lake there, how there's white at the horizon, at the very end of the lake. Next time you go to a lake, look, and you're really going to see that. Now, how many colors of blue do you see in the sky? What we want to do is I want you to look at this picture. And here we have another picture where we have our different colors of blue and early America. And we're going to learn how to do another demo. You need 2 or 3 shades of blue and white. And this is going to be a monochromatic color scheme. So let's get ready and learn a little bit more about background painting. Everything you learn, you're going to do
We're going to
again.
talk a little bit about color and value. And when you start painting, I know a lot of times you have it in your mind, I can't paint, I can't do it. But you start with an underpainting, and I like to do really big murals, and the bigger the better. Hard to believe, but it's easier to do a large picture actually than a small one. Now, when you start, I either use a sponge or a wet wipe, but I want to take my white and I want to take my darker shade of blue because I want to go ahead and get my sky on there first. And I'm just using a wet wipe. Not only is this good to keep things clean, which I'm sure your teachers or your parents would love, but it's also good for blending. You can use a large brush. I'll show you a sponge you can use, but I like a wet wipe because I think it makes it much easier to blend. And I want to make sure that I have plenty of white because white makes it blend much easier. Now I'm coming down a little bit, and again, I'm blending my colors, mixing my colors. This is my background, okay? I can take a wet wipe if I'm background. It's always good to do background first. In this particular picture, this is what we're going for. We're going for mountains, and we looked at the Beardstat, and we saw that the mountains were the very lightest in the background. So we're going to make our first range of mountains, and this is a monochromatic color scheme. We're going to make them very, very, very light, and then we're even going to put snow on them. So what I do is I'm just going to take, again, I'm just making my first range of mountains, and I know right where I'm putting them. I'm going to come back and make my sky a little bit darker, but I'm going to start with my mountains in the background. And I'm just, again, this is just background. I'm going to use a detail brush later in the picture, but I'm just playing right now and getting background on there. And that's what I'm doing. I'm not spending a lot of time with it. I'm just getting my colors on. And I can actually dab it a little bit to give it texture, if I want to. I'm going to put some snow on those mountains. You can barely see them. My next range of mountains is going to be just a little bit darker. These are very, very light, and they're going to have some snow on them. So I'm going to put some snow coverage on those really cool mountains. This is something, like I said, you can do in class and really have fun with. Just take one color, take a wet wipe, and make your first range of mountains. And when we look at the Beierstadt, if you do look at the Rocky Mountains, you'll see mountains really cool in the background that are very, very, very light. Now, my second range of mountains are going to be a little bit darker. So I'm going to work on those. And again, this is just, I'm not, this is not details. This is just getting these colors on here exactly like I want them. I'm trying to create a landscape. And I'm doing that by making my colors lighter in the background, darker in the foreground. Now I can come later with a brush if I want to and do something with the brush. The important thing is I'm creating a little bit of a texture here on my second row of mountains. And I'm going to put some snow on these mountains right here because they're way in the distance. And I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to do the horizon with the water. I'm going to put where my water is going to be. And my water in the foreground, again, this is monochromatic. I can put the details in later. Okay, the difference is in the details. I'm going to make my darker. My water is darker, closer to me, and it's lighter as you go back. So I'm going to make sure that I do that again with the sky as well. And I can put texture in it, etc. But I'm creating different values of the color blue. And this is monochromatic. So again, I'm going to add more paint to it, a little bit more interesting color. I love it. I can lighten it up with white whenever I want to, and then I can put my water in there, make it look like rippling later on. But now I'm going to do a darker row, little bit darker row right here. This will be darker. This is my darkest blue, and it's going to be right by the water. So again, I'm trying to create, I can go to my sponge now if I want to, but I'm creating my darker blue. And you can always erase with acrylic. I'm using acrylic, and I love acrylic, and I love it a lot because you can just erase with it so easily. You could use black and white with a monochromatic. I don't really have any black in this picture. I don't really want any right now, but it wouldn't hurt me to actually use black if I wanted to. And again, I can come back here whenever I'm ready, and I can add different colors, different gradients, work with it with a detail brush, but I want to get it all covered. That's really, really important. This would make a beautiful snow scene. Oh my word, I think it would be gorgeous if you did a snow scene out of this. And I haven't even put clouds in the sky yet. None of that. All I've done is just work with creating a sort of a depth. I'm trying to create a depth. I want the darker values of blue to be in the foreground, and I want the lighter to be in the background. I'm going to put white by the water. I want to put a little bit of a reflection, but I'm going to put a layer of white by the water. And I want you to notice how we have the darker to the lighter, and that's exactly what I was trying to do. So that's working out really, really, really well. And if you can learn how to do that, that's wonderful. I'm going to take and work on the sky a little bit more. Not totally happy. Clouds are darker on the bottom. And somebody said it looked like, God takes his finger and just puts finger paints and makes these gorgeous, beautiful clouds. And so you can rework this. Just keep using your white. And when you use that white, just keep blending it, mixing it, and you can create a really beautiful landscape. And don't say, you might say, oh, I have to do it a certain way with these brushes or a certain way. You need to develop your own techniques. You can try mine and say, well, I'm not really so happy with that. I want you to look at the samples as well. I have this one. And I have this one that I've been working on. And, these are different samples that will show you the idea of the blue and bringing it for atmospheric perspective. Tomorrow.
Okay, now we're going to be done with this particular one, and you keep working while I show you something else. But I want you to think about maybe putting buffalo in the distance, or, this is going to be an early American landscape. And what we're learning here in lesson two, of course, is going to be how to do a landscape. So, what we're going to do is I want you to keep working on that. And our next opportunity, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about our next lesson. And number three, our book, Teaching American History Through Art, you can certainly have that. The whole course is 10 lessons. You'll have all kinds of technique exercises. There's vocabulary words in the book. In the book, there are other projects and famous master works that you can look at. But again, this is teaching American history through art. So, the Mandan Indian tribe, the only record that we do have of them visually is the paintings by the great master artist Catlin. And there's other artists, Harper's Weekly, the ones that you saw in pen and ink. Of course, they didn't have photographers. So there would be an artist who would draw the picture, and then it would be printed for people in early America to see. Now, we're going to talk about so many different artists in early America and different things. So goodbye till the next lesson. We're going to talk about the space program, World War I and the great heroes, the photography that was done, the famous editorial photography when photography began, and Ansel Adams. Of course, we've talked about the great pristine American wilderness, and the artist Teddy Roosevelt was such a pioneer in preserving the wilderness that Ansel Adams was the photographer we think of when we think about preserving the beautiful American wilderness. Thank you so much for hopefully doing this. And what you would need for the whole course would be drawing pencils and paper and pen and ink and acrylic paint. And we're even going to talk about Remington and carve, see how to do a horse head in clay. So thank you so much for watching. And I hope to be able to see you very soon with lesson number 3. Thank you.